Okay, joining us now is Chris Grant. He is a senior advisor to the Ramaswamy campaign. Chris, thanks so much for joining us. Your guy was sort of a target there for a lot of the more establishment Republicans that were on the stage with him. But I want to ask you the question that one of the moderators, I think, came out in public and said he wanted to ask Vivek Ramaswamy and didn't get a chance to. Your candidate said, quote, "President Trump is the best president of the 20th century." Okay, so here's the question. Why does Vivek Ramaswamy want to deny the best president of the century, 21st century, a second term in the Oval Office?
Well, first, thanks for having me. Second, you look at that clip, and all I see is a lot of jealous career politicians going after the newcomer and the outsider, and a lot of folks who woke up every day for 20 and 30 years telling themselves they were going to be president, and along comes an outsider with a different set of ideas, and he's stolen the spotlight from them. So I get why they're mad, and I get why they're jealous. Look, Vivek's been very clear about this. Donald Trump is the best president of his and my lifetime, and he's running to take America First 2.0 to the next level. He's got fresh legs. There are things that need to get done in addition to what President Trump did in his first term, and that's why Vivek's running. It's that simple.
Okay, one of the main lines of attack was on foreign policy, particularly his stance on Taiwan, but in particular Ukraine. So let me just ask you something. I mean, the conventional wisdom, born of generations of experience, post-World War II experience, is that if the Russian leader, in this case Vladimir Putin, were to gain ground, in this case in Ukraine, would he stop there? Does your candidate believe that if Putin has his way in Ukraine, that would not be a threat to American allies in Europe?
Look, the foreign policy establishment in this country has sent us off into a series of unwinnable wars that have cost thousands of American sons and daughters their lives. What Vivek Ramaswamy is talking about, he's very clear about, which is the single biggest threat to on American soil, to the American security situation, is communist China. And the way to deal with that is to separate Russia and drive them away from communist China. He's the only candidate on the platform who's delivered that message. So look, I'm not surprised that a series of career politicians don't understand that, and that they want to protect their failed policies, because it's embarrassing for them on a national stage to learn that they failed. Vivek Ramaswamy's got a different set of ideas. He's in line with the Republican base, and any poll in the country will tell you that Republican primary voters are focused on an America First agenda. We need to protect our border. We ought to be spending more money to protect our southern border than we are protecting Ukraine's border.
But how does that translate to, let's say, NATO, okay, a bedrock of American geopolitical security? If Poland were invaded, if Estonia were invaded, any of these Eastern European countries, does Vivek Ramaswamy think that American troops should go into battle to defend those countries as they would be required to under the NATO treaty?
It's a very clear foreign policy. It is protect the American homeland first. Protect our interests in the Western Hemisphere first. A strong America is good for a stronger world. Right now, we have a broken border. Right now, we've got problems at home that we need to fix. We can't help our friends if our fire is out. If our house is on fire, we can't help our friends whose house is on fire. We need to protect our border, our people first, then we'll deal with the other problems. That's Vivek Ramaswamy's approach to this. It's an America First approach, and that's what Republican voters are responding to.
Okay, but so America can't do two things at one time. I think Mike Pence brought this up the other day. Are you saying that America cannot defend its allies until the southern border is secure, however you might define that?
I think it's very clear, and Mike Pence and Vivek pointed this out on the debate stage. Mike Pence still thinks we're back in the 1980s, and that he doesn't realize that the USSR failed 30 years ago. The reality is we've got priorities here at home. We've got domestic priorities here at home that we need to do. Separating Russia and China is the single biggest priority we have. Our threat right now is from communist China. That's what we need to be focused on. And involving ourselves in Ukraine drives Russia further into it. Vivek is the only candidate, and he's an outsider, so I'm not surprised that folks have a tough time with this in Washington. It's a different kind of policy, but it's one that's in line with the Republican primary electorate.
All right, just very quickly, I want to follow up on the China thing. China invades Taiwan. Does America send troops to fight China?
I think Vivek's been very clear on this, and I'll repeat it. Right now, Vivek is the only one who said he's going to defend Taiwan. The rest of the country has a one China policy. Both politicians in both parties have a one China policy. Vivek's got a very strong defend Taiwan policy on this. He was the only one on the debate stage that said it. He was the only one that was clear and articulate on it. So we're not surprised that the foreign policy establishment doesn't like that, because it highlights the fact that their agenda has failed.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.